please, Adrienne, feel free to tell me just a little bit before 7. But I'm going to share with you tonight some fabulous postcards made by undergraduate and some graduate students in the Image and Idea class. And 1 or 2 of them are here tonight, so they can make sure I'm representing them well. And these are meant to just be an inspiration for you if you want to follow along. What I had the students do is think about, for this postcard project, is to think about their own relationship to water, what I consider the most precious element on our earth. You know, we used to have wars over oil. Now water's the deal. And water, we are water, and water is our shared global commons. So I gave them a few prompts. Some of you might have had a chance to look through them. But the idea is to, in one way or another, map your personal relationship to water. So in order to do that, I also had them create online digital flip books that will house their postcards. So they each actually made 6 postcards so that they could also learn to think about sequencing and how sequencing interdigitates between image making and the combination of image and text. So all of you, if you're going to be applying to the postcard project tonight, will be submitting 1 postcard front and back. And at 6:30, between 6:30 and, between 7 and 8, Adrienne will take you through that process, how to apply, how to make a general template system, and all of that. So I'm going to, if you want to follow along, you can go from the chat to the flipbook site that I have there in blue. In the meanwhile, I'll share my screen. If you don't feel like going there yourself, I'll just take you there. So here we are. Maybe I can move. Is that visible to all of you?
Yes, it looks great.
Beautiful. So here's our, in case some of you thought that libraries were dead, they're not. They're just now all digitized, including this one. So as I mentioned, all of these artists were working on Waterway projects, but for this postcard project, you can think of as a topic sheltering in place, sustainability, cultural history, generational connectivity, and transformation. So lo and behold, each one of these students approached water differently, and some approached with each of these 5 additional topics in mind. I didn't even mention it to them. It's just that those topics cover everything in the world. So you can make a postcard just about anything, sharing your stories as someone from San Jose. So I'm going to start off with one. You click on it from Mondo. And the nice thing about this is each artist got to write a brief artist statement, and you'll be asked to submit that through the application process for the exhibition. So I'll just read it. For this project, I'm Mondo for the moment. For this project, I created map illustrations similar to thermal photographic data by satellite or drones to show the effects of our water as a result of climate change, global warming impacts, our water in complex ways, altering nearly every stage of the water cycle. These changes will put pressure on drinking water, food production, and ecosystems all around the world. The images in this series represent how the world will look if we don't act now and change. In the future, we won't be able to tell land from sea. And this is why I abstracted the maps to merge with the water. And I thought that was a pretty cool conceptual leap. So here is Mondo's work. And let me get this out of the way. And here you can see what would be the front and the back of your postcard if you choose to take that direction. And they were also asked to think about who they would be writing the postcard to and to whom they would address that postcard. Sometimes it's the same person and often it's different. They were also encouraged, ooh, wow, we just jumped ahead, didn't we? They were also encouraged to think about their stamps. So here's one with algae blooms, phytoplankton, the ocean's lungs, necessary carbon cycle. The warmth threatens the process. Algae grow rapidly, frequency rises, and excess of nutrients. So you can see Mondo is also a bit of a poet. Disappearing glaciers, Antarctica dejected, heat keeps rising, dwindling ice of massive loss. Glaciers retreat to nothing, a vast emptiness, heat trapping gases, hell. You get the drift. I also like what he did with following different kinds of mapping system. James, here's another kind of mapping system that maybe as a photographer you could relate more directly to, right? And they're all to Trump, but now, ha ha, we don't have to worry so much about that dude, right? So, and then they did a front and back cover. So let me escape here for a minute. And so I would put that under the notion of sustainability. Now, here's a project by Gia, who's here. And Gia, do you want me to read or do you want to read since you're here?
Yeah, you could read it. I don't mind.
Okay, I'm just pointing out the art star there with a big smile. Water ebbs and flows through land, carving and eroding canyons and glaciers time after time. This adaptability and power through silence and patience gives to one of Taoism's most vital concepts, Wu Wei. Wu Wei, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Wu Wei refers to the beginning of a state of mind where actions are effortlessly aligned with the natural cycles of the world. The flow of Wu Wei is characterized by great ease and wakefulness. Wu Wei births philosophical and transcendental power to the mind and body, connecting our inner selves with the external world. So let's view it. And I would say in Gia's really interesting work, she's relating perhaps to cultural history. And I know Gia's work was one of the first pieces I saw the students as they were going through the process. And I was blown over. I thought, wow, if I got a postcard like this with a front and back like this, I would definitely be two things, inspired, but also inspired to write in or to send it to somebody. So in this case, again, the artists are doing the front and the back of the postcards. Look at this very cool stamp system she's developed. And I don't know, we seem to have a bunch of poets budding in the image and idea class. So you want to read it? Gia, it's your work.
Yeah, so I could read it. A path amongst stars, the ocean's ballroom tango, soaked in the moonlight.
I love this.
A half to a whole, one within another, together and forever, like waves breaking shore.
So again, she's thinking of the front of the postcard and the back. One of the things for all of you who are applying tonight, You want to make sure on the back where you have the address that it's light enough so when somebody sends it in the postal system, they'll be able to read to whom you're addressing. At the time the artists were making this work, that wasn't as much of an issue because they're showing these as, you know, digital postcards. I'm going to just glide through us a little bit here, if that's all right, Gia.
Yeah, definitely.
Against currents, arms like the cosmos, spanning one sunset till motion's end. Yay! Yet another rock star. So I promised that I'd show you these artists whose work just happened to fall into sustainability with Mondo's, cultural history with Gia's. Now, the next one is generational connectivity. So Yvonne does this. She says, the title of hers is Where Did the Time Go? A collection of things I wanted to say but never did. I am lost and confused with things in my life. I'm waiting to see what shows up on my shore again. I know I will get back to it, but I am still left hoping for something and missing people that have left my shore. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so what I love about what Yvonne did here is she did a combination of imagery that she shot with film, scanned, and then because this is going to be a digital output, she did the sewing and then scanned that and pulled it all together. So your postcards can be anything from handmade, in other words, drawing or painting or sewing or handmade paper. But they just, eventually they need to be scanned or re-photographed so that they end up in a digital form so it can be reproduced, because we know all of you are going to be winners of something for sure. So what I love this, she uses this work as a way to connect with her relatives. I encourage people to always write in the language they feel either most comfortable with and or that conceptually makes sense with the work they're presenting. Again, and this postcard you see on the right, the back of the postcards is, I went to Etsy and just bought a bunch of them so that the students that didn't choose to make their own back of the card could just modify it. And so some of you may be going in that direction. In other words, you'd be making a front of the card, and the back of the card will be one that goes onto 10 out of the 15 cards, because Kohar's students that are creating the mobile kiosk unit are going to take those 15 postcards and they will travel all over the city of San Jose. And if you leave the back of the postcard blank, that allows, you know, those who just come upon the kiosk to be inspired, maybe write their own story and address it back to the Natalie Thompson Gallery. So this gives you a sense of that. I see I just have a few more minutes, so I'm gonna move along. And before the very last one I want to share with you tonight is Adrienne Defendi's, your next host. So I'll leave that for last. But I wanted to share, and this is for Rhonda, sort of, and for James, the new convert. So this one's called Respect the Wild by Eric Hernandez. And this series of postcards that brings awareness to humankind trashing the homes of wildlife. Along with the imagery of trash, there is a poem that accompanies each postcard written from the perspective of the wild. So let's look at it. And Eric uses 3D scans. So each page, yay, Rhonda.
I love that. This is, so exciting to see all of it come together. Anyway, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So Rhonda gave a 3D scan preview workshop for our Image and Idea class, and Eric got very excited. So here he's scanning the trash he sees along his waterways, brings that scanned OBG file into Photoshop, does his Photoshop wizardry to it, and it ends up in these abstractions, which I think are a wonderful way also to bring people into the work. And I love, for instance, the little stamps he makes for each of them. So amazing. And if they were to be sent, of course, you could put a regular, ordinary, boring old stamp on top of it, but just to send it out there in the world. And he was basing his work a little bit like this could be for kids. So kicking and pushing, entangled in this netting, my existence has never felt so threatened. Feeling betrayed by my own home landscape, I lay terrified as I fight to escape. And that looks like a can of something that too many of us drink all the time. And again, making his, what do they remind me of? Remember, he was that kid's poet that lived in La Jolla. Who was that, Rhonda? Dr. What was his name?
Oh my God, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but that's who they're based on.
The paintings?
No, his writings are based on, that poet that writes like green eggs and ham.
Is it Shel Silverstein or
Dr. Seuss?
Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
From La Jolla. All right. So this is his version of that, but for a slightly more sophisticated kid. And again, making the stamps. And so notice that he's making a little pun here on the 50% recycled. Waddling around, I hope to get noticed. A hand extends to give me a bonus. Eating it up, this is so yummy, but what has it done? It's hurting my tummy. All right, so, and then he moves along, and in the end, his last page, he takes each one of those postcard fronts is a different piece of trash that he has collected. He did two things, which is so great. Rhonda can take credit for that. He not only cleaned the waterways by removing the trash. No, I made that up. I guess he didn't have to do that. He could do the 3D scan right there because he did it on Trinio on his phone. And anyway, and in this last respect, the wild, he brings all the images into one page. And voila. And we are so on time because we have one more fantastic artist to share. And this is your next host, Adrienne. So Adrienne, do you want to take over? And
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. So as you may have already understood that I'm TAing for Robin's class. I'm a second year MFA student in photography. And of course I took on the beautiful challenge of this. I won't be able to activate the book.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go to my screen, but if you want to activate it for me, that would be great.
I would.
And full screen would be lovely because I got a lot of small text.
I know.
So much of
I'm trying to not get rid of, but
no, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, wait,
Perfect.
there we go.
So much of my work deals with transformation and the cycle of life and death, and I came upon a a bird. In this period, we were just assigned this assignment in class and just observed it and was marveled by it. And this is how I decided to collate my 6 postcards. And one of them, which I will indicate next, is what we'll be kind of modeling the workshop after. So I'll highlight that. So that is my little wren. I did work in cyanotypes with some gold highlights with pen, and of course this was all scanned in order to be digitized. And with each illustration, I wrote a haiku, and naturally these were not meant to be sent. They're an art piece. So these do not go according to the instructions that we'll be looking at in just a moment, but playing with ideas of transformation, heartbeat, decomposition, and the role that water, of course, plays in all of that. Actually, this one
Sorry, you want me to go back?
No, actually, perfect. If you could stop right, if you could turn the page, Robin, that would be great. So this is the postcard I'm thinking of submitting. And I have lots of issues to resolve if I decide to submit it. Because obviously right now I could submit it on the left as one option and just submit the image and have a blank back, which the gallery will, they're going to make their own back postcard. So I could decide just to do that, or I could start to play a little bit with how I might integrate my haiku either on the back in a proper way that could be mailed, or all on the front cover. So these are some of the things I'm going to be thinking about with you out loud on how I'm going to resolve this image and this front and back matter so it actually could be put in the mail. Which is what the gallery curators are requesting of all of us.
Check out this beautiful stamp too. Couldn't resist.
Yes, so this stamp. Yes. So
I'm going to write another grant to see if we can print our own stamps.
I think that would be amazing. Yes.
So we'll see. I think that'd be great.
That's a beautiful idea.
Yeah. So there we go. So thank you for sharing that, Robin.
My pleasure. Thanks for making it, Adrienne.
Yeah, it was great fun. So from here, I just want to check in. I've put a lot of sites on to the right, especially the postcard, and I'm wondering if all of you have had a chance to download the SAMI sample front and back. If you haven't, you can do that right now. I'm going to start sharing my screen and show you where you can get that. Meanwhile, so I'm going to, you've seen this before, which is great, Rhonda, and I'm going to start sharing my screen because this is the submission. Which Rhonda has kindly shown us beforehand. Excuse me. Yes, everything is right here, which is great. But just to bring to your attention, the competition closes on December 6th. So you have plenty of time to get your submissions ready. So from this, I'm going to take us to the submission form and walk through a couple of things. As you see, this is such a beautiful page. Rhonda and team who composed it, because everything is right here. And I'm assuming you're all seeing my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Right. Okay. So here's the website that Rhonda had pointed out. Here is where you get the templates. And this is the detailed submission instructions, which I'm not going to activate right now because I'm going to walk you through them. But when you are ready to submit, this is where you want to go because there are several fine details that you want to remember when you're saving as a JPEG and as a PDF. It's beautifully and very simply laid out for you. We can return to that later if you all would like. Standard entry form that you want to mark, and I'm moving forward to show you three items here when you're starting to create or submit your postcards. As Rhonda had mentioned, the competition is going to consider 4 designs that have a front and a back. For this design, you would put your name on the back as part of the design. And so that would be 4 designs will actually be printed and in the gallery. This is choice 1 or A. Choice B, which will have 10 designs that will be chosen, is the front only. So you may decide that you just only want to do the front side of a postcard because it says everything you want it to say, and that's what you'd like to do. To be considered for both postcards, both A and B, is that you're being considered for both contests. And that means you would, it's not exclusive. You would still be considered in the pool of imagery and postcards for this final selection. But of course, that brings in some ideas you have to consider of what you'll put on the front and what you'll keep on the back. What you'd be willing to lose for your concept if only the front were chosen. So I'm going to walk you through this. We will come back here because I will help you prepare your slides, your files, which will be always 2, even if you only submit one thing. There's always a JPEG and a PDF of the same document. And you may decide not to submit the back, but if you do, it's the same, 1 JPEG and 1 PDF. We will come back to this. Changing gears. Any questions thus far? No? Okay. I am
Can
going.
we cheat? Let's say we were, Gia, not that Gia would ever do anything like this, but I might. Could people submit 2 postcards and just go by, another alias name?
Are you asking that question of me, Robin?
So Google, you would have to have another Google account that you're logged into.
Rhonda the Geek has said, no, we will be able to detect that in a minute.
Which many of us have, I imagine, but yes. But it might get you disqualified, at least out in the real world, right? In other competitions. So I'm going to take you to, and if now, if you're able to work your desktop with, while I am, please do. But I just want to walk you through the 2 templates that I've downloaded, and I'm going to begin to populate them because I'm making some aesthetic and savvy decisions about my submission. So this is what the Spartan Sammy postcard front looks like. And what's beautiful about this, that it's already in the color.
Adrienne, do you mind if I interrupt?
Please.
I think
Please.
you only shared your Google or your web browser.
Thank you.
We don't
Yes.
see it. Yeah.
I think I have to stop and share. Is that correct? Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I think once I'm in here, oh yes, good. I won't leave Photoshop for a while, so I'm in good shape for a bit. You all see the 4x6 postcard, Sammy?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So this is what you will have already downloaded or already have, or I know some of you are already building on it. And this is the back. So they're pretty specific details here, meaning the postcard image itself is 4x6, but it has to bleed all the way to the red. There's a cut line and there's a safety line where all text must be kept in. So I'm going to walk you through this in a moment by showing you a sample of what my front will be. And I'm going to make that disappear because I'm going to do this right now. So you'll have, this will all be on your desktop. I'm going to open because I'm going to import my image. And I have my front. Let's hope that works. Let's see, that could be my done one. Yes, no, that's actually the wrong one. Excuse me. I'm going to import.
One of the things that my students always remind me, and I forget as a teacher, that it's actually really useful for them to see me do things wrong.
Oh yes.
Yeah, because they
Well,
learn.
welcome to this evening. So as I did have it in a spot, but here's my front image that I'm considering. So I open that document. I'm basically going to copy it. There are many ways of doing this, especially if you are a very savvy user. Okay. And where is my front? There we go. So I opened up my Sammy template. I am going to copy. I think. Huh. All right. Well, let's pretend I copied it in. Excuse me. I'm not sure why it's not working, but I happen
to believe you copied it in. There it is.
Oh, okay. There it is. Thank you. So this is what my postcard front would be if I'm considering a front and a back. I would save this and I would move on to my back, which is what I'm about to show you. So I've decided I'm a person who's going to submit a front and a back, and I'm going to move to my back side.
So Adrienne, quick question.
Yes.
So do you have to have the image already sized? You know, if you have like a really large file, do you already have to downsize it to 4x6 at 300 in order to fit in?
Sure, you could try it. It should be at 300 DPI and a 4x6. Yes, that will be its final, but you can try a larger document and see what happens. Yes. And in fact,
the template itself already has a resolution of 300. So as long as you size it and then save it, you know, out of this template, it should automatically save it at 300 DPI with the right size.
A couple though things, if I may, you want to make sure the total size, Josie, is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, because
yes,
as you know, where the red.
Great, thanks. I got it to work. So when I imported my 4x6, thank you, Robin. I must have butterfingers. My 4x6 is too small because I have to cover my red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it larger. I could do this 2 ways, but I'm going to do it the laborious way, which is I'm going to scale. Scale it up to cover the red and make sure the red is covered everywhere. Or you could simply size your image before importing it to 4 1/4 and 6 1/4, as you see. Okay.
The other thing, just a quick note, Josie, is I would suggest going the 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 at 300 DPI, because some folks have tried already to submit, and if your image size is much larger than about 9 megabytes, the submission form won't accept it. So I would just go ahead and resize to that exact 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 at 300 DPI. In Adobe 1998 color space, because it's going to print. No, that's wrong.
No, the Spartan Sammy already has a color space, and it doesn't matter what you import. The final product or the final saved JPEG and PDF will be in the if you see down here in the corner, where my cursor is, US web coded swap. So that's the beauty of working off of Sammy postcard template. Spartan Sammy, yep. So as you see, I double check where I'm going, and I've bled, and my design doesn't have any text, so I'm not worried about my blue line. It's just a straight image. We will come back to this card because that will be my example further down. I'm going to take us to the back postcard. That's what it looks like. The difference here is that there needs to be a clear area of this size in order to be considered and in order to be mailed. There's not a straight answer on this, and I'll show you as we move on what I'm referring to. So now I'm thinking, remember, I'm submitting a front and a back. So let me go to my sample layered postcard back. And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff so you can see the bare minimum. Here's my SAMI template. I've decided that I'm going to put it at a very low resolution. I've changed the image slightly. I don't expect you to see that, but I have. I've made it a little larger with a light, with more transparency at a lower opacity. And I've decided to put in my text, which is my haiku. And I have also decided to put my name. So that's very important that you put your name there. I have to resolve this issue. I did put a stamp in, but as you see, I did a low transparency. I love my stamp. I didn't want to get rid of it. One can put a stamp on top of it, but importantly, I believe the gallery is going to print and they may have some kind of text there. So I want to honor that. And as you can see, you can still see that text for the stamp. If it is a paid for postcard or I'm not sure if that'll show, but I wanted to honor that a little bit. I just wanted to give a gesture of that, my stamp. I didn't want to leave it blank. That is up to you as the artist. This is something that needs to be a bit more resolved. It's clear, there's no text. But it's not, but it's rather, there's not a lot of ink there. I'm going to have a sense that that is clear enough in order to have this be able to be read by the U.S. Postal Service. Otherwise, one could leave it clear completely, or someone may not want to design this half, but only designing from this to this third of the postcard to the left. So these are decisions you want to keep in mind as you're designing. I do want to check, is my text all in the blue box? Yes, I have no issue that anything is going to be eliminated. Even my stamp is still in good shape there. And I've decided I just want that little bit of a soft filler of a lower opacity in order to be read. I want to flatten this so you can get a sense of what it looks like. And oh, I made a terrible mistake. What is my mistake?
It's always good, right? It's a great learning moment.
Yes. The mistake is that, and it says it beautifully, that I need to eliminate my guiding layer. And it says it so beautifully. It says, please delete this guideline before submitting your design to print. So I will do that. That's okay. That's what it looks like. Thank goodness it says it on that layer. But you know, you kind of see what you're doing. And that is how I made the compromise to leave a more blank space for the U.S. Postal Service. I'm not sure I'm happy with that, frankly. So any questions thus far from the crowds, from students?
Yeah. Do you have to put your name on it, Adrienne?
Ah. So you're a person who might do a front and a back, but you would not like to put your name on it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I believe, yes, you as the artist can be unnamed or non-named if you wish to be. Would you agree, Robin and Rhonda?
I would agree that you absolutely can. As a professional, thinking about this as like a professional practice and a tool, thinking about these as art objects that the gallery will send out to their mailing list and beyond, I think it would be beneficial to you to include your name, or if not your name, maybe some way that, let's say the director of the San Jose ICA receives this, and who made this beautiful postcard. So, but it is an art, as an artist, you get to pick.
I see. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? That was a great question. Okay.
I have a comment. May I make
Yes.
a comment?
Please.
Just in case it's not clear, the red on border, the bleed line, that is if you want a full bleed image, meaning the image gets printed out to the edges. The cut line is where the printer will be cutting, but they don't have perfect registration. So they want to make sure that you have extra image just in case they're cutting a little off register. So don't put anything outside of the cut line that you love, right? Like I would notice in Adrienne's piece, she has a beautiful little gold mark, you know, that's kind of like that will likely get cut off. So, make sure, you know, that you're,
yes, that's true.
You will likely lose all of the darlings in the red.
Great point. Thank you. Yes, I did notice that I was going to lose that.
I bet you did.
Yes. But thank you for reiterating that. That's really, really important. So I'm thinking I'm not really satisfied with this, so I'm going to go back to my front card. And I'm going to repopulate my layers. I brought in my image, I resized it to the border as you see, and I am thinking I'm going to put on my, I'm just going to do one entry. I think this is it. I feel like I was able to combine everything I loved about the front and the back together. And I brought my haiku to the front, and I still think it works. It's working for me. But I need to check my borders. Uh-oh. Does anyone see something that's not quite right? So I want to check, was my image all the way to the blue? Oh, to the bleed line. Yes, it will be trimmed. I might lose some gold, but actually, when I submit, I'll probably replace that gold somewhere else.
Part of your text is yeah.
Yes, so part of my text is well into the trimming line. Excuse me, not the trim line. The trim line is here, but look how any text or anything that is super, super important should be inside the blue dotted line. For safety, all text must be kept within. Oh, it must be. I don't even have a choice. I very well may lose my E, or it might be so close to the trim line that I'm not going to like it aesthetically. So please make sure that you move that well far. I don't seem to be able to activating. Yes, okay, wrong one. Got it. Cool on me. I'm going to move that way over because I'd rather it air. I have the image that I can air the opposite direction. I check it again. I have plenty of space. And there we go. No name on option C when you're just, option B, when you're just doing the submission for the front of the card only. The gallery is going to create the backside, and they will populate your name on the backside. Any questions at this point before I create a JPEG and a PDF?
Can I just get a clarification? I'm sorry, Adrienne.
Yeah, not at all.
You just said that the gallery would have our name on the backside. Is that if we do a single image?
Exactly. So if this were my one and only submission, front of the postcard only, the gallery is going to create the backside as they wish, but they will give you credit for the front of the postcard. They're going to design it. They're going to place your name.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for that question. Any other questions?
Yeah, I actually had another question. Just looking at the Google Forms submission,
Mhm.
I'm seeing that we're basically submitting only 2 postcard designs. Like,
It's one postcard, but you have 3 options.
oh,
You
okay.
have this is my one postcard, which is just the front only, because I decided to consolidate my haiku onto the front. So this would be option B, or the middle option, or the second option. and that one says it's the front only.
Mm-hmm.
And I would submit a JPEG and a PDF of this.
That's why, Gia, maybe you got confused. So if you're just doing the front side, just to reiterate what Adrienne said, just like in class, we had you export as a PDF and a JPEG for each thing. So that's why just even with the front, you're submitting 2 files. If you did a card like you've designed, not that you're gonna necessarily submit those, you would be doing a JPEG and a PDF for the front and a JPEG and a PDF for the back.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so that raises another question for me.
Yes.
We can design one front
Mm-hmm.
that could then be entered into front only and front
Correct.
and back if we do the other, but we can't do 2 different submissions unless we fake out the system with a different Gmail, which we're not going to do.
Yes. Oh,
Correct. That is correct.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Okay, thank you.
Yes. No, it is confusing. Yes.
The gallery will only print one a submission from an artist, right? So whether that be front and back or just the front, they're only going to print one from each artist that's submitted.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference, just to make that clear, being that if you design for the back, right, and fill in the text, that won't be one of the cards that they print to mail out for the community submissions, right? So if conceptually you like the idea that you'll have an image that becomes kind of a backdrop for other community submissions. So this will go out to the SJSU community, the gallery's mailing list, but also because of the wonderful kiosks that Kohar students will be making. Ideally, we'll be kind of taking that around to different areas in San Jose City and kind of getting submissions from folks who are not necessarily affiliated with San Jose State, but live in the area.
You know what I think would be cool, Rhonda, since they're printing 15 cards in total, 4 with front and backs, and let's say the first works that I showed you would fall into that category, right?
Yeah.
I think those could also travel around in the kiosk because those could be inspiration.
Yes.
Because otherwise I might go to the kiosk and think, I don't know what to do. So
So they'll be like depending on, it's still to be determined what, outside access will look like in the gallery. So, part of the inspiration of this project is, how do we take the gallery out into the world, right? And so the mail and then the kiosk also becomes a part of that. So the front back kind of, unique art object takeaways that are the front back printing will also be in the kiosk as well as available, for distribution from the gallery in some format itself. And that might only be from the kiosk, right? If we can't open the campus in any meaningful way to the public, that might be the only way to kind of.
Oh, that's true. That still has to be on the plate, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a way in this question, just quickly, because Adrienne, you've done such a great job, and I know you still want to go through the submissions, so I'll be quick. Can people also, let's say they submitted and they didn't happen to be one of those 14 unique cards. Other cards will also be, if and hopefully the gallery will be open in the spring. They can be displayed in the exhibition space. So you can't lose by applying, because you're going to get a show, and then you might get a show and 500 images printed. But
Yeah.
I think the entire world should submit, because then we could have, how many people exist in the world right now?
I don't think, we could fit that many postcards. That's actually really interesting. Could that many postcards actually fit the gallery? That is actually a very interesting question. So part of this is also going to be a digital display, and I haven't really worked out, some of the questions that came up today, and this is great to be a part of this workshop for this reason as well. Thinking about, so like Gia had 6 postcards that you submitted, is that correct? That kind of function in a beautiful relationship to one another. While the gallery will only print 1, there's also going to be a digital exhibition component to all of this. So I might make in the comments, trying to think about ways that we could also then incorporate those 6 designs in the digital submission form. And I don't want to confuse people by putting, that many uploads in this form, but maybe like a checkbox I'd like to be considered for the digital design. There are more designs or something along those lines. And then we can get in touch with you and get those designs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just so that you all know, in the fine print, you're also applying to the San Jose Story Map, which is a 2-year project. So that will be coming into culmination when you apply to Wish You Were Here with the Thompson Gallery exhibition. The following year, we'll be doing a ton of programming around the San Jose Story Map going live. So there's a curated selection of invited artists and writers that will be live when the contest submission goes live. And your works will be part of that curated selection as part of the Wish You Were Here contest. So you'll be exhibiting alongside premier poet laureates from San Jose and other invited artists. So in good company.
For sure.
I had a question.
Yes.
So the individual one, can you submit one like image for that, and the one that's the 2 that could work with 2 different images, that's a separate? So like there'd be 2 different postcards, or does it have to be the same for both?
It's just 1 postcard.
One for both.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Does that make sense, Josie? So
Yeah, I was just thinking there's some images that work together with others, and then some images that work alone, right? So you can have the 2 would be a 2 kind of working together separate from the 1. You would get 2 different submissions to choose from versus you're getting the same thing from the same person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but in this case, only one idea, you could think of it that way per person. And maybe we all have your email list, and I know the folks in the image and idea classes, and there's 40 artists there, would like to be part of Rhonda's story mapping project, and the digital slideshow. So maybe we can write back to if you want to submit for that, but that's up to Rhonda.
Well, yeah, so we're already kind of just going to assume in the fine print by like, I agree, like I'm submitting to both. So you are submitting to the San Jose Story Map by default. But for those of you that have like the 6 images that want to like display those 6 images, the San Jose Story Map like submissions will go live around the same time that the Wish You Were Here exhibition is open to the public. So that'll be next semester. So if you are interested in, having that relationship of the multiple images together, they won't be printed, but they will be available for like digital display.
Great. That's a great opportunity, because a lot of us have worked in 6s. You know what I'm talking about. Are there any technical questions before I take us back and just take you through how to make a JPEG and a PDF? Shall I do that? Or are you all wizards? Okay, all right. Well, you probably are wizards, but there we go.
Adrienne?
Yes.
I was just going to say thank you for everything, and I appreciated seeing your art. Your cyanos were very
Oh,
cool. I have
oh,
to bail.
oh, thank you, Rich.
I definitely
Good
am
to
going to
see you.
participate.
Thank
Nice to
you.
see you. Thank you all.
Please
I-
submit it.
I'm also dropping off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
James.
Bye, James. Bye, Rich.
Hi, my guy.
Okay, so do you see my postcard? Yes. I feel like I lost you. Are you out there?
Oh, yes, we see
we're
it.
all
Sorry,
here.
I muted my.
We're all ears.
Okay, great. So I'm going to double check one more time that my text is in the right place. I'm going to eliminate that. It says, please eliminate me while you make your copy. Let's see if I can get this to, yes. I'm going to flatten. I know that Robin mentioned that sometimes it can get too large if you don't flatten it. You need to flatten it. And I'm going to save as. I'm going to save it on my computer. I'm going to save it on my desktop for now. And this is all laid out very beautifully in the how-to instructions, but I'm just going to put my name in there. And there's my postcard front. So I only had to put my last and first name. I'm going to make a JPEG first. And I'm going to click on as a copy so I never lose my primary master copy from my Photoshop. As a copy, as you see, it's already embedded exactly how I want it to be, thanks to Sammy. And I'm going to save. Again, these directions are in the document, but it's going to be the maximum, progressive, scan 3, and I'm going to hit OK. And there we go. It's on, trust me that it's on my desktop. But I'm going to come back. I have to make my PDF. So I'm going to go back to my exact same document. Remember, I'm only doing the front side. And I'm going to save as, save on my desktop. And I am going to go to a Photoshop PDF. And again, I'm going to put my name and my first name. And I'm going to save, and let's see what happens. Again, I'm in the correct color space. Yes, I get that. I'm going to say OK. And this is where you want to be. This defaulted, but it's the correct default, and it's exactly what the contest is asking for. High quality print. Well, let me just make sure. Let's see. Acrobat 5, none, yes. And 2 items are checked here, options. This one, preserve Photoshop editing capabilities and optimize for fast web preview. I know my document's very flat, so let's see how it goes. And there we are. So at this point in time, I'd go back to the submission form, I'd populate it, I would make sure I was happy and had proofread my little creative statement, and begin to upload. And if any of you would like to try that right now while I'm on the line, or I'm happy to assist you at another point in time, of course, if you run into any problems. So I'm going to put my email in the chat, so you can be in touch if you're having any issues, and we'll troubleshoot.
Adrienne, that's so generous. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
But there we go. Any final questions?
Adrienne, I'm a little confused. I'm trying to find where to submit exactly. I'm on this Google Doc that says the
Right?
details of it.
Um,
But, I don't see on the
Right, so let's,
cadre.
I know very well. So if you're on the details, which says how to format, what it should look like, what to call it, if you go back to your top of the screen, the top of the document, it'll have submission links.
Oh, right here. Okay, I see them. Submission form?
Submission form here.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Great.
And Jesus, you had a good, I thought, way of designing for the addresses. You just put in the 3 black lines and kept them very much a part of your design. So when you do the front and the back, right?
I'm only going to do one. I'm going to do the front.
Okay, then never mind.
Okay. Yes. Nice. Great. So right, these are the decisions you make as you move forward. But yes, your back design was lovely. I think Marilyn too, you had a lot of matter on the back that was important to your project as well, and so on. Ethan, are you going to do front and back, you think, or just front?
Yeah, I think I want to do front and back. I was actually wondering if you guys were willing to check my work, not for critiques, just to make sure that like I'm on the same page as you guys, or
Yeah.
Absolutely.
perfect.
I mean, do you want to do it right now, Ethan, or do you want to?
I was personally just thinking like after the session, because like I didn't want people stealing my ideas.
I know what you mean. I was gonna take a screenshot and just submit myself.
I was going to submit 3 times. Different people.
Sure, Ethan, I'm happy to look at anything. Yes.
All right.
It's good. It's good. You know, I think as artists, so many of us are so excited to participate in exhibition opportunities that it's really easy to get taken advantage of. So I think that your caution is actually really well warranted. And yeah, especially if your medium is digital imagery, it's just so easy to trade online. So I think that, yeah. I kid, but it's also really smart.
And Vinao, I don't know if you're there, but
yes, sorry. Yes.
We wondered, do you think you're submitting? We hope, and do you think you'll do front and back or just front? What are your ideas?
I'm thinking about doing front and back, but yeah, but
Nice.
maybe just the front. I'm not sure yet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And Gia?
Yeah. I think I might actually have to create a whole new thing because there's like some parts of images of one postcard that I really like, and then other parts of another because we worked in like those 6s. So I might just create a whole new
Beautiful
postcard if it's just one submission. Now that I clarified that. I'll just think about it. I'm glad that I have a few weeks until the final submission though.
Great. So it's going to become something new, a synthesis of your ideas. I think that's a wonderful approach as well. Absolutely. And LV?
I just came off from my other class, so I.
Okay, very well. I'm so glad you were with us, and be in touch if you need any assistance. Okay, fantastic. And Josie, what are you thinking? Yeah, I know, wide open. It's great. And if anyone else would like to pop up about what they're thinking about, otherwise, it sounds like we had a really fun time together. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Ian and Robin, you such a great inspiration early to look at those flip books, and then wonderful presentation, so clear on the process. Thank you, Adrienne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Well, good luck on all of your designs. And Robin, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The floor is yours.
No, I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for this workshop today and being willing to participate in this unwieldy and many-faceted project. But I think it's going to catalyze into some really beautiful, beautiful submissions. So.
Well, and thank you back for, this is so much work. I'm getting dizzy just thinking about all the organization that you're doing. So back at you.
Thank you. I've got great help. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
A good weekend.
One question before everyone leaves.
Yes.
Could I get the recording of this meeting?
Yeah. Oh, I should have mentioned. So we're working on we're recording all of the workshops. They'll be hosted on the Wish You Were Here website.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect. Good night. Thank you.
Okay, good night, everybody. Good
Rhonda,
night,
what's
everybody.
the software for the 3D scan?
I use Trinio, TRNIO, and it's iPhone only, and it is very intuitive. And the 3D scanning workshop is also recorded, of course, because it's me, it went very long. So YouTube, we have to upload it in multiple sections. So I'm still working it out, but it'll be available.
Yeah, I had another previous class I couldn't get out of. Okay. All right.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
Bye, Marilyn.
All right, when I leave, and it's gonna just shut
Yes,
everything
I'm gonna say thank you so much, Rhonda. Thank you. See you.
Bye. See you.